Well, for more on the state capture inquiry, we cross to my colleague Nzinga Qunta, who's standing by for us. Nzinga, what was happening today? Very interesting day, I'm sure.
Good afternoon, Mpumelelo. We saw Jan Gilliland from National Treasury coming before the inquiry to give information about what he called a basic accounting system. It's a way that he said he traced hundreds of millions of rands of payments towards media companies owned by the Gupta family. That's the New Age, as well as Infinity Media, which was the ANN7 television channel. He just gave a breakdown of how they track the amounts, the information, how they access the information using SQL. We learned a lot of IT terms today, and essentially he was breaking down year by year ad spend that government departments, both provincial and national, had put into these entities, and we saw the amounts like over 75 million rand from the Free State provincial government going to those newspapers, and saying there was a little bit of confusion about why the New Age, which is a newspaper, got so much more of a high ad spend than ANN7, which was a television channel, because he thought what would be normal would be the inverse, so more money to TV than to newspapers. Just giving facts about Treasury and how they conducted those investigations and fact-finding and those hundreds of million rands of ad spend. We also saw Zizi Kodwa from the ANC coming to observe the state capture inquiry and listen to the evidence. And as it was wrapping up, we heard that Duduzane Zuma is prepared to come and give evidence before the state capture inquiry. So that ended the commission there. And afterwards, Zizi Kodwa gave a briefing about the ANC and their position. He joins me now. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. You've said that the ANC is not on trial here at the state capture inquiry, but the question has to be asked: how did it take so long with all these allegations that we've seen, without the ANC perhaps doing something quicker than we saw the state capture inquiry? And should we believe that high leadership didn't know anything about these very scary allegations of money being siphoned off from the government?
We are here to reiterate our support for the Zondo Commission. We are on record for having called for the establishment of this commission, given the seriousness of the allegations which were made a couple of years back. You will remember as well that it was us, firstly, when these allegations surfaced. We established what we call internal investigation in the office of the Secretary General, at that time, Kwete Mandasha. A couple of people came forward, but only one was prepared to sign a statement. We now know on record who that person is, and that person has been a witness to this commission. Many of them preferred what they call a state process. And that's why we continue to make a call to all of them, including those who worked in government before, that they must come and help this commission to meet the objectives of its terms of reference. The ANC is no doubt that for us to get to the bottom of these allegations, this inquiry this commission is the only process in terms of our jurisprudence we have. There is no other process, so we couldn't suggest any other process except a judiciary process such as this one, a commission. And therefore, our presence here is to endorse the work of the commission, continue to support, and make a call to all South Africans who have information, whether they be former president, former premiers, former councillors, those who worked in government institutions, including state. They must come here not for the sake of themselves, but for the sake of our country, because our view is that what this process will do, it will restore public confidence into public institutions, it will restore the rule of law, but also it will restore ethical leadership. That way, leadership of the ANC, among others, driven by selflessness, not by selfish aggrandizement.
So my question would then be, why did it take so long to get to this point? And then should we worry as citizens that the governing party takes such a long time to deal with a problem that the alarm was raised, as you said, years ago? And I understand that processes have to take place. But the fact that we are seeing hundreds of millions of rands just in this one instance that we saw today without a panic. So when we're dealing with another situation that could be terrible for our economy, like the recession that we're facing now, is it again going to take the ANC years to kick into motion and start something instead of dealing with the problem here and now?
We acted immediately and made a call for the establishment immediately when the allegations surfaced. I've already said internally we had started the process. But also you remember the establishment of a commission can't do it over 1 day or 2 days. The establishment of this commission, if you look at the resolutions of the 54th National Conference, the conference resolved that the commission must be established expeditiously. That is the wording used in the resolution of the conference, because the conference was impatient with the fact that we were gone to the conference without the establishment of this commission. Fortunately, subsequent to the conference, this commission was established. It's better than late than ever. But we think what is coming out of here, for us, it's early days to already talk about the testimony of witnesses, to analyze the character of witnesses as well. Let's give this commission support. That's why we say political parties outside of this commission must not grandstand. If there is any information, let's allow this commission, give it time. Let's support Judge Zondo and the commissioners to do that. We get to the bottom. For us is that we want to establish the truth, not something that at the end of the day it will be a PR exercise. If there are any individuals who are implicated, we'll look at the recommendations. How deep is a rot of corruption or maladministration or impropriety within government and within the state?
As we wrap up, an issue that's come up over the weekend is this alleged plot to oust President Cyril Ramaphosa. You've said that it was not an ANC meeting, so you can't comment on it. Do you know how long before we get a definitive answer from those people involved? And just tell us what the ANC is doing with regards to that.
I can't speak on behalf of people who were in the meeting. Perhaps time permitted to them, they will explain the context of that meeting. If it turned out later that indeed it was an ANC meeting, it will also come from them that it was an ANC meeting. But I think they've got an obligation, because now it's called a plot. But from an ANC point of view, we can only explain what we know. As of the moment, that we think that the African National Congress leadership is seized with implementing the resolution of the 54th conference, building unity and renewal, and nothing else we shall allow to deter us from achieving the objectives of these two important resolutions.
Thank you very much, Zizi Kodwa from the ANC, speaking to us there. On Mpumelelo, we know that former Public Enterprises Minister Barbara Hogan is going to come before the Commission, and some interesting rulings from Judge Zondo coming up on Thursday as well, as to whether Duduzane Zuma will be able to cross-examine witnesses. With that, it's back to you in studio.
Thanks very much, Nzinga. That's my colleague Nzinga Qunta.